authenticity. What does it mean to be authentic, to be real? Sometimes people take being real and they kind of get scared of that word. Like, oh, here it comes. Someone's going to be real with me, right? But a lot of times we tend to not be real. We tend to skirt around the truth and try to kind of blow sunshine people's way. And I'm not saying we need to necessarily offend anybody, but we need to be authentic. Especially when it comes to our thoughts and our feelings. And I'm not saying every thought that comes in your head you should say. You shouldn't. There should be a filter, right? Appropriate time, appropriate place, appropriate person, right? But we need, as people, as human beings, in relationship with others, we need to learn how to be authentic. To put ourselves out there, the real us, and not put on this mask, this facade that isn't us. I think a lot of times what we tend to do is we tend to easily put on a different mask for different people, whether it's at home or at work or at school or if you're going to get groceries. And the idea of authenticity is kind of thrown out the window. Because that means we have to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable isn't a bad thing. Now, I get some of you have been hurt and you've been vulnerable to someone. You let someone in and they hurt you. So then what you do is you put up some walls and you say never again, and I'm not going to be vulnerable or authentic anymore. Because if I let someone in, I'll get hurt. And that's kind of the risk, right? We try to mitigate risk by kind of putting the walls up and putting the mask on of a different face. But that doesn't do us any good. That doesn't build relationship. And that doesn't build authentic relationship especially. Think about this. If you're in the dating kind of scene and you go on your first date, right? If you portray yourself differently at that first date than you really are, eventually your real self is going to show, right? The real you is eventually going to creep out. You can only be inauthentic for so long. It won't last. It's not sustainable. You have to come out of your shell eventually, right? The real you will show. So why even bother being inauthentic? Why even bother putting on a mask or a facade of who you're not? Why bother put all these crazy walls up? I'm not saying don't protect yourself. Be careful who you let in, most definitely. But we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to be real. And I'm going to break it down a little bit here of what this means. So first off, what that means is how do we be real when we're in a relationship, right? When we're connecting with people, when we're trying to see people for who they are and how also we want them to see us, right? That authenticity, that real, the raw, the vulnerability. We want to do it in a way that still guards us in a safe way. We don't want to be foolish and just let everybody in and hurt us. But we also want to let people in, otherwise we're just going to be this lonely, inauthentic, just messed up, relationally unfit person. So how do we do that? We have to be real about our expectations. And we have to have realistic expectations. I guess a lot of our expectations a lot of times come from our past. Come from past experiences, past hurt, past pain. But we can't allow our past pain and past experiences to dictate how we see our future. Or even our present. Because not everybody's the same. Guys, not every gal is going to break your heart and steal your money and leave you with the kids or whatever it is. And gals, not every guy is going to just sleep with you and not call you back. That's not the way it goes. And gals, not every guy is abusive. Not every guy is wired to his video games and not going to talk to you. Again, we have to be fair here. Our past experiences don't dictate our present or our future. We have to be authentic and real about expectations, right? We have to expect people to understand that they're going to disappoint us. That's okay. people will disappoint you. No one is perfect. But as you're looking at others, make sure you look at yourself too, because again, you're not perfect either, right? As we look about being authentic, we have to understand that people are trying to be authentic as well, sometimes. And we have to be able to kind of read that, how we can understand and ascertain how, if someone is being real with us or they're putting that mask on. Because honestly, you don't want someone with a mask, because who they really are is going to come out eventually too. And it'll show. Not right away. It'll show later on in their character. It'll show in their communication style. It'll show eventually in different things. But it starts with us. We're talking about us, inward thinking, right? Inward, relationally fit us. Authenticity. How are you authentic? Well, we talked about expectations, but we also have to understand that, again, if we're not who we are, then no one's going to get us for who we are. But it starts with us knowing us. We have to know us. So number 2 is knowing us. So I would say, if you're thinking, oh, I got to get out of this bad relationship or this friendship or whatever, and I need a relationship, I need good friends, great. But if you don't know you, don't pursue anything new. If you don't know you, don't pursue anything new. If you don't know, don't go. Get it? Kind of a good little way to remember it. If you don't know, don't go. If you don't know who you are, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, if you don't love you, if you don't have a self-appreciation for you, if you haven't found that healing within yourself, do not download a dating app. Stop. If you don't know you, if you don't ask your friends to set you up on a date. Right? That's the reality there. Authenticity, right? You can't be authentic if you're still messed up inside. You have to kind of work at those inner demons and fix that stuff up, right? So again, know you. And then what we need to understand, once we know us, once we know our expectations, once we know ourselves, then we can look ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, I know me. How do I improve me? How do I become real? How do I just put myself out there? It starts with baby steps. Just baby steps of taking it one day at a time, being real at work, being real at home. Who you are at home and who you are at work and who you are with your kids, who you are with friends and family should be who you are everywhere. If you're not, there's a problem there. And you have to address that. You have to identify that. Because eventually that's going to affect one of those relationships somewhere. The truth always comes out. It reminds me of an episode of my favorite show, Friends. See, very good, Friends. My favorite show is Friends. And there's an episode where Ross gets a job as a professor. His first college professor job. And the students are bored out of their minds by hearing him lecture. So he begins to do a British accent. And the entire episode is about him having this fake accent, because once he talks in this fake accent, the students listen because of this cool British accent. Until his friends make fun of him because they went to go see him lecture, and they see him using this fake accent. And then he realizes, yeah, they're only interested in my accent, not who I am, not what I have to teach, not who I really am, and not what I know. And when he starts to break down and start talking normal, the students are like all confused and what's wrong with your accent? And then he ends up being honest about, it's my first time, I was a little nervous. I started talking in a British accent, that way you guys would like me. And see, that's a great example of that. That inauthenticness doesn't last. It's not sustainable. You can't keep it up forever. Because who you are is eventually gonna leak out. So might as well put yourself out there. Your past, your present, your struggles. I'm not saying you need to bombard someone on a first date with all the baggage you have, but you gotta be honest. You have to be honest about yourself. Again, before you get into a relationship or a friendship or anything, or a new job, you have to know you. Don't put yourself out there if you don't know who you are. Don't fake a resume. and make it all, fluffed up to make yourself this elevated person, then when you get to that job, you can't perform. You can't produce what you said you have. Who you really are comes out. So, personal story. When I was a freshman in high school, I was getting ready to join cross-country team, and I was inflating myself to the kids in the team. I was like, oh yeah, I can run real fast. I can run this. And I remember some of the kids in my team were like, whoa, you're like a rabbit. You could run real fast. In my mind, I thought I was really fast. And granted, I inflated myself a little bit more. When push came to shove, I was on JV. Wasn't that fast. I got better. My sophomore year, I was in varsity. I was a top 5 runner. Got better. But my point is, the truth came out. I was inflating myself into my first actual cross-country meet, and then everybody's like, oh, never mind, this guy isn't. It's all hot air. That's the thing, the truth always comes out. Who we really are comes out. So here's the question for you is, who are you? Who are you really? Ask yourself that question. Maybe write it down. Look in the mirror, get like a little dry erase marker and write it down. Who am I? Who am I to my family? Who am I to my friends? Who am I to my coworkers? Who am I to people I want to develop a relationship, maybe dating wise or whatever, right? Or marriage, my marriage, who am I? Who am I to my kids? Am I the same person? If I'm not, there's something wrong there. And granted, we shouldn't be talking to our kids the way we talk to our friends, but you know what I mean? But our personality shouldn't be different. Our values, our character should not be different. But a lot of times they are. We kind of shift them to fit a certain mold, to make ourselves better in their eyes, to make ourselves have this inflated self idea. I challenge you, be authentic. How do we do that? Being honest. Make an honest assessment of who you are. If you don't like who you are, that's fine. We all go through phases of not liking what we see in the mirror. Physically, mentally, spiritually, all that. I get that. We all go through phases. But eventually we have to come to grips with who we are and be okay with that. Once we're okay, then we can expect someone out there to be okay with it too. We all have something to bring to the table. You can't bring anything to the table if you're not authentic. I hope you enjoyed. My challenge for you is be authentic, be real, be honest. I'm Coach AJ, and you just watched another episode of Living Fully Fit. Take care. If you like what you watched, make sure to subscribe down below. Also check me out on Facebook, Living Fully Fit on Facebook. There's new content on there that's going to help benefit you and help you grow. We have great dialogue and great challenges, recipes and workout programs and different ideas and quotes that are going to help challenge you to build a better you as we continue to live and understand what it means to be fully fit.